August 26th, Bitcoin 4-hour chart. We are already seeing that 79, as we warned in yesterday's video, is preparing or is already a support or resistance for the new channel. I say it's a support or resistance because over the next few days, it will decide on one of the two sides. From the beginning, we have bet that the zone where most of that distribution will take place, because you know that once the distribution happens, whether in one area or another, there will indeed be breakouts, retests, and fakeouts over the next 2 months, but there will be a main zone within those 2 months, more or less, that a distribution can last. We think, based on the few clues that are appearing, because we've already been looking for this zone for 4 days since this markup, it's still early, but we are starting to see the first signs that make us understand that 79 is going to shape up to be an important element. Yesterday, we saw how it tried to break through this 79 zone several times, and in any case, it always returned to the zone with quite a bit of strength. In principle, that's a clue telling us that the strong hands are trying to make retail think it's going to go down, when in reality, the movement is upward. I'm Michael Vasquez, this is Daily Bitcoin Analysis, and what we do is look for, as I've explained to you, or if you've already seen other videos, the strategies of the strong hands, or the institutions, who are the ones trying to manipulate the chart all the time, in all time frames, modifying it at their whim with buys, sells, always the indicators, and even the price. The only thing they can't modify is the volume, because in the volume are their footprints and their strategies. In other words, now, after the markup we saw, we're seeing that they're looking for a distribution zone. That is, where to start selling off that huge liquidity they have. They have to do it over the long term. In principle, that's the most likely strategy. We're always looking for clues that confirm those strategies for us. We try to see the strategies of the strong hands to see what the possible move is. In principle, you always have to look not only at price action, which you already know is support, resistance, and candlestick patterns. You have to look for it on the higher time frame, on the 4-hour chart, which is our headquarters, and then look for the best moments for scalping or intraday trading. All right, first things first, let's go to the long term to see how this impressive markup came in. Normally, as I explain in my course, the price always moves, or the strategy of the strong hands is simple. Buy in a cheap place, move the price quickly, and sell high. We saw it last week with a surprise move that was far from all the clues we were seeing, because the clues were in the accumulation channel. Once it breaks, it's a momentary decision. It's like now. Now we're going to see that a distribution channel is going to form. And at a certain moment, without any clues, they're going to do a markdown. In other words, they're going to see what the ideal moment is to do it, so that retail doesn't realize it until they're in too deep. Very well, we think, you see? I'm showing you the long term simply to see those zones. Accumulation, markup, and now looking for distribution. In principle, I think 79.82 could be a good distribution zone. If what you're interested in is making money with trading, whether professionally or as a side job, I've designed a course where you'll stop looking at indicators and you'll understand what the market is really doing, what the strong hands are really doing, and you'll be able to make money the way they do. Let's continue with the analysis. Because it was left halfway the last time it was in that zone, therefore, there's liquidity remaining not only from this accumulation, from the previous accumulation, which couldn't be completed, but all the liquidity from this accumulation as well. They could go higher, even look for the 90,000 zone, but in principle, we must analyze it little by little, and we should rule out, in principle, because it would be moving further ahead in time, we can rule out that 90,000 zone for now, and study the 79 to 82 zone well. Let's go to headquarters, now with volume, to see how the strong hands have entered when the price, above all, tries to break that 79 zone. And you see that both times it tried, a volume spike appeared. I was going to say a little more volume, but in any case, we are seeing quite high volume. We're still feeling the hangover from that markup, where an impressive amount of volume came in over a very short time. And now we're seeing a bit of a hangover because we're seeing this spike above 1.5, another one above 1.5, but there's only one intermediate candle, and this intermediate candle is also quite high. It's above 1.2. Normally, we're not used to this amount of volume. I mean, there's still a lot of activity in Bitcoin, not just from strong hands trying to support that price in the 79 zone, but also a lot of activity from retail, from small people like you or me who have seen that huge move from Bitcoin and think it can continue and don't want to miss out, either because they go long thinking it's going to continue or because they think it's the last moment and it's going to fall. In either of the two cases, more volume than normal is appearing in Bitcoin. Very well. What I was telling you, these two peaks are trying to tell us that the strong hands in principle are not allowing the price to fall from 79. In any case, it's a very, very complicated moment because that possible distribution channel is starting to form, and you have to be attentive to the clues. In principle, with the clues we are seeing, the most likely channel is the one formed, as I told you, between 79,000 and 82. The lower channel, which would also be a possibility, a plan B, as we often do, would be the one formed between 76 and 79,000. Let's see how the week evolves, how the price settles over the weekend, and then we'll get back into the weekday dynamic starting Sunday night. In any case, let's understand that this week we are looking to consolidate the price in this zone, 79.82. Maybe 82 is a little high because the last high was quite a bit lower, 81,200, but we can expect the price in that zone. Now let's look at intraday scalping, those best opportunities, which, I always like to point out to you, which are 3 elements every day. I tell you the same elements because in the end, you always have to have one. At least I have a strategy and I follow it or try to follow it to the letter. Because a strategy that works for you doesn't need anything added or taken away. You just have to stick with it. There will be times when it works, times when it doesn't. But if it gives you results with over an 80% success rate, it's a strategy worth considering. Very well, what we have to do is look for support or resistance levels specific to the time frame we're in. In my course, I explain how to find them. The 4-hour and weekly ones obviously have influence. Right now, we are seeing that the price is practically not moving at 79, and what we are going to look for are support or resistance zones. For example, this area is quite interesting, around 78, a little less, a little more, but 78 is interesting. If it were to break through 79, we have to look for those rejection wicks, the actual arrival at 78, for example, and volume inflow. We need to see a volume inflow like we saw yesterday I always tell you on the 15-minute chart. As we say on the 4-hour chart, it's above 1.5 billion. On the 15-minute chart, it's above 125,000. It's a reference you can keep in mind to see that volume is important, rejection wick, arrival at an important zone, and as you can see, the move will give you at least here, yesterday's move gave about 1.68%. If you enter after seeing the wick or the formation of that wick, you can easily grab 1%. If you like doing these types of strategies or these types of scalping or intraday entries, in the VIP Telegram group, I share the trades I make daily. To join, before anyone could join, now only to keep the group as small as possible and as cohesive as possible, it's only by signing up for the exchange that I use, which I consider the best, mexc.com. You make your first deposit, MEXC, once you are an active user, gives you a $50 reward, and I give you free access to the VIP for a month. After that, it costs 19 euros a month. I'm also showing you yesterday's entry for the August challenge. As you can see, I'm using 10x leverage in this case. I started with $500 on August 1st. I'm making micro entries of 15, looking for a TP of $15, $20 on only one a day, and I'm watching how that account grows without complicating things. It's important to enter with the trend of the day. If the trend, for example, here we said it was upward, it would be to enter at any moment, but always long. If the trend were downward, well, exactly the opposite. I'll set the TP from yesterday, and what I do is raffle off what I earn in Let's see, right now the account is at $537. The excess over 500, now 137. Let's hope to reach 200 at least. I'll raffle it off among those who are new affiliates to mex.com and who have made a deposit. Next month, instead of starting with 500, I'm thinking of putting in a more significant amount to show that without too much complication, you can earn a salary, an average salary in, what would be an average salary in Spain? I'll look it up, what the average salary is. To start with, maybe 1,000, 2,000, 2,000 USD. Anyway, I'll keep you posted. I'm Michael Vasquez. This is Daily Bitcoin Analysis. I really appreciate you watching this video. And as I always tell you, this is not financial advice. Rather, I am sharing my experience with you after more than 15 years in professional trading. See you tomorrow.